time to get your fix. Come on down, get your horrible gaming review. 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 Wow.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and welcome to another horrible game review. It's been a little while since I've done this, but I've got a couple that I want to do. I got a couple of more older games that I'm reviewing because I got some free codes. I got some newer games I'm hopefully reviewing, so stay tuned. We'll get some reviews going here on the channel. And the first review of this series, I am super excited, is Sifu Arenas. But before we get into that, we've got to do our normal disclaimers. Number one, the word horrible in the title of this video does not necessarily refer to the game or DLC that I am reviewing, but much more the video itself. I do snap judgment reviews here, meaning you get about 5 to 10 hours with the game, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. I'm trying to give you an idea if you're going to like it right off the bat or not. That, coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I will not be giving a scored review. Instead, I'll be giving you the overview of what the game or DLC is. I'll tell you the pros and the cons of the game or DLC in my point of view, as all reviews are. And then I'll tell you whether I will be sticking with this game or DLC outside the purposes of this review. That being said, I have returned to Sifu, one of my games of the year, if not my game of the year for 2022. Sifu has now received a huge update called the Arenas update. It has received a couple of updates before now, but the Arena one really pulled me back in because what is it? It's a new mode in which you jump in and you kind of try and take on these challenges in a pre-designed kind of scenario. So instead of a story mode, it's much more like a challenge-based thing. How this works is you kind of go into a screen, you have a bunch of dossiers in front of you. Each dossier has a number of challenge-completed tokens. I don't know what their legit names are, but we're just going to call them tokens. The first one opens up, and inside each one has about 5 to 6 challenges that you've got to do in that area. So they'll all take place in the little arena, obviously, and there'll be different kind of objectives. So one of them will be just stay as young as you can. Another one will be take out the marked targets as fast as humanly possible. Another one will be time attack, maybe get through it as fast as possible, or a score attack. And then each one of these also have their own little modifiers to them. Some of them will be set with you have infinite life. It's just about getting scores. Other one, your block does nothing and you have to avoid enemy attacks. Others are enemies get more damage, you get more damage, weapons do more damage, stuff like that. This is a really, really interesting thing because as you do this, you'll basically earn these tokens. Each level has 3 token spots, basically along the lines of a bronze, silver, gold sort of thing. So like if the objective is survive as long as you can, it might be beat the whole thing in under 23, and then another one will like beat the whole thing in under 26, and then another one will be beat the whole thing in under 32, and you can complete it without even getting any of those. But every one you get counts as a token towards unlocking the next area, the next arena. So once you get 10, well, I think it's 5, you unlock the next area, then 10, you unlock the next area, and that unlocks another series of challenges. What's even more interesting is that each one of these little challenges, a lot of them I'm noticing just from the fact that I've been a Kung Fu junkie most of my young life, I'm noticing actually scenarios that they built in from actual Kung Fu movies. In the first level, there is the last arena challenge simulates the very last fight scene in the last Matrix movie between Neo and all the Mr. Smiths. which I found very fun. There's another one later on, but and while that's a big, very easy one to catch, they have some very niche ones too. There's one in the second level called Danny, which refers to Jet Li's Unleashed, and I think one of his all-time best movies, where he fights a bunch of people in a pit fight. I think that like that kind of like stuff thrown in there just adds more to this, and that's one thing Sifu has always done really well is show love for the product that they're creating. But this is the mode down to a T. There are a bunch of different types of challenges you can do. There are some where you're trying to capture an area, and then once you capture the area, you have to run quickly to another area and capture that. And keep bad guys out of it. There's another one where you have to where the only way to beat bad guys is by tossing weapons at them first. It just creates these really interesting, cool, dynamic scenes, and it's a very interesting DLC. But what did I think about it, pros and cons wise? Well, this is probably going to be a short video because it's going to be more pros than cons, I can assure you. I love it. I think that Sifu, okay, if you could argue was not a perfect game, if somebody was to argue that Sifu was not a perfect game, and by all means I would not be one of those people, but if you were, maybe the first thing you would do is say that the replay value is a little lacking. I mean, while you do go through the game a lot with its roguelite kind of build facilitation, once you've beaten it and then beaten the harder levels, which is very difficult, it'll take you a lot of runs, but still, once you beat it, you're kind of done, unless you just want to like regrind it for skills that you don't really need. So there hasn't been a lot of reason for me personally to go back to it, even though like I said, I think it's a perfect game. This is that thing that allows you to play this game on and on and on and on. And I think that's what's really cool about this upgrade. It gives the replayability to Sifu that it maybe didn't have before. And there was replayability there because you were constantly doing the runs, but once you complete that hard mode, that last kind of thing, the only thing left to do is beat it on a more difficult level, and then that's it. There's not a ton of replayability here. You're not going to see new experiences. Now you are. Now this kind of is a way of remixing the game over and over again for your enjoyment. Plus, another pro that I like is they're going to be adding to this mode. If you scroll through all the dossiers, as it gets higher and higher and higher, you find that there's a bunch that say coming soon. So they're going to slowly be adding more and more to this mode as you go through, which I think is another boon to the game. I think this is a great addition for it. But there are a couple of cons here, and I do want to talk about them. The first con is there is no connection with this mode to the original game. So, I think you know where I'm going with this. Your hard work, that this isn't an end game. This is a different game in the same game. This is a different mode, which, I'm not going to lie, disappointed me a little bit. I worked really hard to unlock all the things that I unlocked in my normal game. I worked for those techniques. And then to step into arenas and just either have them all unlocked or have only a certain amount or whatever was a little bit annoying. I really wish I could have gone in there with my character that I had done everything with. And this was a little bit more of an end game than a different mode. I mean, this is a small, nitpicky gripe. But again, that's what I'm supposed to do here. My final con, and this is real nitpicky, so stay with me, but the difficulty level. This game, this arenas mode is, in my opinion, harder than the original game. With that said, the promise of them adding new arenas is not as exciting for me, because while I am slowly getting those dossiers unlocked, I can totally see a point where my skills are outmatched by this game. And at that point, what is the point of adding dossiers that I can't play? I would have much rather them had multiple dossier chains so that, like, okay, our DLC over here will have a new starting point and do some more lower level ones. It looks like they're only going to make it more and more difficult as we go along, and that makes me a little bit nervous. I don't need a super, super, super hard mode edition to keep me playing. I need more stuff that I can play. I know that seems like a little bit of a cop-out. This game is meant to be difficult, but at the same time, I like options more than I like restraint, and I think putting a lot of stuff behind a wall of your own skill is still kind of constraining people. I don't want to be one of the people who like, oh, the DLC came out, but I don't get to play the new fun stuff because I haven't quite figured out how to get tokens on this one level. I would much rather have like different kind of chains or different starting points, so that we could kind of play with that. I feel that they should play around with that a little bit, other than just making it one long straight continuous chain. Am I going to stick with it? Hell to the yeah. I'm streaming it right now. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I'm going to tell you right now, this mode, in my opinion, is better for streaming than the original mode was. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think I would have ever beaten the game with the pacifist, which is super difficult, if I didn't have people in the chat cheering me on at the time. It was kind of a slightly religious experience for me on stream. But it was still very heavy story. This is just straight up your kung fu fighting. It's a lot easier to interact with people. So for streaming purposes, it's much better in my opinion. So I really like it. I am going to stick with it. I'm going to keep streaming it on Amateur Hour for at least a little while. And yeah. What do you guys think? Did I get it wrong? Did I get it right? Please let me know in the comments below. I will be back next week with an older review. Again, I got a bunch of codes for some older games via a buddy of mine. Shout out to Michael Hoffman if he in any way, shape, or form watches this. But he gave me some codes for some free games. So I was able to do some reviews for some games that I had never played before. So I'm kind of excited to review them, even though they probably won't get any views. But hey, content, right? Next week I'm doing Panzer Paladin, which is a retro-style 8/16-bit, I don't know, it's hard to explain, like fighter, I guess. But you have to come back and check out what I thought of that. And yeah, hopefully I'm going to do a Minecraft Legends review. I cannot guarantee that because I have to find people to play with me and time to play it. So you guys can, of course, contact us on Facebook at OhMyGamingDH, on Twitter at OhMyGaming9. You can join our Discord. Links in the description below. You can influence us in all of our shows from there. As long as you guys keep watching and listening, I'll keep making them. I'll see you guys next time.